Hello guys, welcome to this video lecture on how to add two numbers using Android Studio. Okay, we'll go step by step and then I'll show you how it is done. This is just a very basic Android Studio application which we are going to build. Now let me just start a new Android project. I'll select an empty activity. I'll give a name for the application as sum of 2. Okay, and I'll select the language as Java and I'll select the API as 27 and then I click finish. I will wait for my Gradle build to finish. The Gradle sync started, so I will wait. The status bar appears over here. Now once the Gradle sync is finished, you will have all the application files being stored here, and you will have two files automatically generated. One is your XML file, the other one is your Java file. Okay, I will start with your XML file. First, there's already a text view here. I will just delete that text view. Now the application which we are planning to do today is to add two numbers. Okay, so for adding two numbers, we will need two text boxes. Okay, so what I will do is I will quickly drag and drop two plain text. Okay, plain text is nothing but your text boxes. Okay, we usually call them as edit text in Android Studio. I will quickly place them in the center. Okay, and then I'll also place one more plain text. Okay, I said addition of two numbers, so I'll place this one here. Okay, and then I will need a button. Okay, button will I'll just add it to the center here. Okay, on clicking the button, the numbers entered in those two text boxes will be added. Okay, and then I'll also need an output. Okay, I'll also need a component to see the output. For that, I'll quickly drag and drop a text view. Now, text view is something like your labels. Okay, in HTML, it'll only output a text. You cannot edit it or you cannot do anything with it. Okay, now if you look at this closely, we are using a layout called as constraint layout. Now, constraint layout in the sense, for every component which you drag and drop onto the screen, you should be able to specify their measurements which they are we should be able to specify the distance from which they are there onto the end of the screen. Okay, now the reason for doing this is nowadays screen sizes are varying. Okay, so based on the screen size, if you give them a constraint as they should be 50 centimeter from the top of my screen. Okay, if you set a constraint like that, in any type of screen, this widget will appear 50 centimeters from the top of the screen. Okay, so I will tell you how to add constraints. Now these are the two views which I have set up. Okay, one is your user interface, the other one is the blueprint. And if you come on the right hand side in your properties box and you select a particular widget, you will get four options like this. Okay, so I click the plus symbol here. Okay, this is your top constraint. Do you see the number here? It means from the top it is at 121 at a distance of 121. And then I'll do a left constraint, I'll do a right constraint, and then I'll also do a bottom constraint. Now if you look closely, my bottom constraint is with respect to the next widget. Okay, so that is how you create. And then I do the second one as well, plus, and then bottom constraint. Bottom constraint is again with respect to the button which I have dropped here. Okay, now this button is also there. I'll create constraints on each side. Okay, and then I also have a text view. So plus, right constraint, and then bottom constraint. Now this last text view is with respect to the bottom of the screen. This is the first step which you do with as soon as you drag and drop all the components in your user interface. Now the second step which you are going to do is change the IDs for all these text boxes. Now this is a very important step. For all the components which you drag and drop, you should have a ID. Okay, so I'll name it as edit text underscore num1. Okay, this is for the first number. and it will ask update all usages of edit text as well. Yes, wherever it is coming in the XML or wherever it is going to reflect, you have to specify it as yes, sorry, underscore num2. This is for the second text box, and then we have a button here. Okay, I'll select the button. I'll give a name for this add. Okay, this is only the ID, not the text which is being displayed on the button. I'll tell you what to do for that. Then comes your text view underscore output. Okay, good. And then now what we'll do is we'll quickly change the text in these number box. Now if you in the text boxes, if you come down, you will see the option called as text here. Now text is something which will be displayed on the widget. Now for a text box, as soon as a user comes and presses on the text box, the text should be disappearing. Now when you put something in the text property, it will not happen. So if you want to do that, you have an option called as hint here. Okay, now what I'll do is enter first number. Okay, this will be the hint, and in the second widget, second text box, enter second number. Okay, now I want to change the text on top of the button, so I'll go to the buttons properties, sum. Okay, I'll make it as add. Okay, and then the text view, I'll just remove the text for now. Okay, let nothing be displayed there. All right, now this is what we have. This is our user interface. Now this is done. Now once we finish our XML part, now we are going to go to our Java part. Okay, now remember there are the hint didn't change for this. I didn't remove the text for this one. Okay, now we'll have to make sure that once the user presses this button, we have to get the numbers entered in both these text boxes and display the output in our text. Now we will do that using Java. Now in Java, if you remember, there is something called as event handling, and for buttons, the events which we mainly consider is on click. Okay, so for that we will create a special function called as, you can create any function, public void, I'll call the function as add numbers. Okay, and then you pass a parameter called as view. Okay, it tells you where the particular widget is going to be there. Okay, who is going to call this function, what argument is going to be called. Usually if there is any widget in your XML file, if you click on it or if you're expecting an event to be done from that, it will always take the parameter called as view. Okay, view is a predefined class which is available. Now it shows an error, cannot resolve symbol. So what you do is you press alt and then enter. Okay, automatically it will import a class. Okay, right, now this error will go off. Now after that, first thing after you in your Java program is you will have to create objects for all the components which you dragged and dropped into your user interface. Now we have two text boxes, two edit text, one button, and one text view. So for four things we are going to create objects. Now objects are very important for doing any operation in Android. Okay, so first thing, edit text. Okay, and then I'm going to give a name for my object. I'll give it as et underscore num1, referring to my first edit text. Okay, and then I will have to typecast it. Okay, like how you're going typecasting in from an integer to a double to we should also typecast it to the object here. And if you want to find a reference, okay, if you want to create an object, the function is find view by id, and then r dot id dot, you have to specify the ID of the text box. Okay, now I hope you remember the ID which we created there. Okay, if you come to the first one, the ID is edit text underscore num1. So we have to use the same ID which we gave in our edit text num1. So you start typing, it will usually drop down edit text num1, end it with a semicolon. Do the same thing for the second text box, but with a different name for your object. Edit text find view by id r dot id dot, this time it is edit text num2. Okay, and then we also have a button. So button comes from a class called as button. I'll I'll call it as, again it has not been added, so alt enter space bt underscore add typecasted find view by id r dot id dot, what is the id which we gave for our button? It is button underscore add. And what is the last component? It is our text view, okay, for displaying our output. So I'll call it as tv underscore output is equal to typecasted text view find view by id r dot id dot, what is the id? Text view underscore output is what we get. Okay, now that we have created objects for this, now we will have to extract the contents which are entered in these objects. Okay, so that is the next step which we are going to do. Right, now for extracting those numbers and storing them, we will need two variables. So I will create two integer. For now I'll just keep it as integers. Integer number1 equal to, from where do you want? We want to get it from the first text box. So et underscore num1 dot, you have a function called get text. Okay, now once you get the text, you have to convert it to a string, to string. Okay, now with the help of this, you will be able to get a string from the text box. Okay, though you are entering a number in your edit text, you will be getting a string from your text box. So we will have to typecast this one. For typecasting in Java, very famous function integer dot parse int. Okay, sorry, integer dot parse int. Okay, put that into brackets. Okay, this is for extracting the number from the text box, and then since it is a text box, whatever is being entered into a text box will be of type string. Okay, so we will have to convert that into integer for doing our calculation. Same way I'll do it for the second text box. Integer dot parse int et underscore num2, from the second text box the object is et underscore num2 get text dot to string. Okay, now you've got two numbers into two variables. Now we will have to do an addition of these ones. For that we will need another variable, int sum is equal to number1 plus number1 plus number2. Okay, now we've added numbers from the two text boxes into a variable called as sum. Now how do we display it? We will have to display this onto our text view which we've got in our user interface. For displaying the result, we will have to get the object of the text view. Okay, so what is the object of the text view? For displaying the output, we will have to use the object of the text view, tv underscore output dot set text. Okay, now set text will put value into your text view. Now then the variable sum is of type integer. Okay, so what we have to do for that is we will have to convert that integer into a string. Okay, so for that we have a function called as string dot value of. Okay, string dot value of, you have to put the integer variable inside. Okay, now this is all is required in your Java code. Okay, you can save this one. Now the next step is very important. Now we will have to attach an event to the function which we have created. Okay, now which can be done by going to your properties. Okay, select the button, come to your properties box, and you have an option called as on click here, on click. Now you select the drop down box here. Now you will have the drop down, you will have the name of the function which we created in our main activity.java. See this one, add underscore numbers is the method which we created. So that will be there in the drop down. Select this one. Okay, and then we will set up our emulator. Okay, I already have my emulator set up. I'll quickly start my emulator. Now once your emulator is ready and once you're able to see this home screen, go to Android Studio and then run your application, and then you will have to wait for a while. But once your application loads, you should be able to see the screen. I will enter the numbers here: 10, 10, and then I'll click add, and you will see the output here, which is 20. You can also still change 30 and click add, see the number. Now this is how you create an application which adds two numbers. This is a very basic application which will tell you how to create events, how to do button handling, event handling, and also how to add components, and then having constraints in your application. Thank you.